back, he's going to be a contributor more than they probably anticipated at the beginning of the season.
Good point.
And then you put that with the continued development of Tatum and Brown, and now all of a sudden the Celtics again playing against the Miami Heat, who won the East last year. Those are always going to be big games, so that's definitely a big-time win by that squad.
Well, I said two things coming out of the NBA bubble. There were two people that went from stars to superstars in the bubble. One was our homegirl Malika, and the other one was Jimmy Butler. And Jimmy Butler this year has been off to a little bit of a slow start, I will say. What do you think about Jimmy Butler so far this year?
The thing about Jimmy Butler, he's struggling shooting that three, Jacoby. Doug Collins always talked to me about this. The game is so hard when you can't shoot. So that's what I saw. I was happy to see him score 26 against the Celtics. However, you know he's rugged and tough. He plays basketball like an NFL running back, and he's dealt with some injuries. He's dealt with some injuries coming to this season, so I appreciate him trying to fight through it. But he's had some single-digit games and a 20-plus point game, and so when he starts to play like he's capable, that's when they're going to hit their stride.
He has not hit a single three-pointer yet this season. Well, that wasn't the only good game last night. We had another one between the Jazz and the Knicks right here in New York City, where the streets are kind of talking about the Knicks, Jalen Rose.
New York,
and one of the reasons they're talking about is performances like last night. The first half looked dominant for the Jazz, but then the Knicks started coming back. Julius Randle came on in the second half, and that man right there, Austin Rivers, he took over. He took over. At the fourth quarter, he hit 3 threes and got another bucket, 11 points in the last few minutes of the game. Jalen, I have a simple question for you. Are the Knicks for real?
Shout to Tom Thibodeau, who's doing an amazing job getting effort, playing big minutes to Julius Randle and R.J. Barrett, and getting great productivity. And then you have Austin Rivers coming in as one of my favorite irrational confidence heat check type players. And then all of a sudden he can get you double-figure points in one quarter in a win against a great defensive team in the Jazz without Obi Toppin. But you know what makes me happiest about this? As a Michigander that went to the university that also spends a lot of time on the East Coast with a lot of my coworkers and friends and family. You know what warms my heart?
What makes you happy, Jalen? I like it when you're happy.
So many New York Knickerbocker fans can now smile and feel good about their team. I forget so many times how many of you guys actually exist when the Yankees and the Knicks are bad. But when you guys are good,
if it wasn't the pandemic, if this wasn't the pandemic, you'd see a lot of Knicks hats, a lot of Knicks hoodies, a lot of people congregating outside of MSG on game day. But the pandemic won't even let us have this 3 weeks of success to celebrate. Jalen, that's what happened in the NBA last night.
Of race relations, overthrow the government, and that image.
I want to commend them first. And I also want to say that this isn't new. Jalen, we've been doing this show for 10 years, and the intersection of sports and politics comes up over and over and over again. And it really, really spiked this summer. And a lot of that had to do not just with the general systemic racism, but something that you spoke about, the treatment of black and brown people from the hands of law enforcement. Obviously, but not limited to, there was the killing of George Floyd, the killing of Breonna Taylor, and the shooting of Jacob Blake. Now, in all these instances, there's two sides of the coin. There's always like a yeah, but. Oh, George Floyd. Yeah, but he committed a crime and he resisted arrest. Oh, Breonna Taylor. Yeah, but maybe they shot at the officers first and they were defending themselves. Jacob Blake. Yeah, but he had a knife, right? When you look at the juxtaposition of the treatment of those people that went into the Capitol building and the people that marched in the Black Lives Matter movement, there is no yeah, but about this problem that is not only
peaceful protest, and it continues to highlight over the years. It doesn't matter if we turn the other cheek like MLK, if it's eye for an eye, like Martin, like Malcolm X, if regardless, like you mentioned, it seemed to be that yeah, but. And now all of a sudden, the images of things that I saw growing up, people being sprayed with water hoses, having to use inferior accommodations of the bathroom and of water fountains and of restaurants, and having to cross the street when they saw white people, to graduating to now seeing images of young black people wearing hoods and now being symbolic because all of a sudden they're being harassed by law enforcement or people who want to play officer, and all of a sudden unarmed people are being harmed, are being killed, families are being devastated, and then falsifying the police report in some, if not many, of these cases. You just said it right there. You're an officer, you're in the Capitol, and somebody who broke into the Capitol broke the window. You have your colleagues' guns drawn. 4 people have died, and they taking selfies And again, this is where I keep stressing. This is where the revolution gets televised. This is white Americans unhappy with great glory. It's something that we have felt for so very long. We were promised 40 acres and a mule. We didn't get that. We didn't get that. And so I just hope now, while there is going to be policy change, I hope, and I do want student debt to be forgiven. I do want the education dynamics of suburban and urban to be